Today, we celebrate the sixth Sunday of Easter. This is a very pedestrian name, hides a Sunday of readings that are anything but. A better name would be Love Sunday. The word love appears 16 times in the second reading and the Gospel combined. Both readings are attributed to John, who, as John's Gospel itself tells us, was Jesus's beloved disciple. I suspect this is not a coincidence. In English, love is used frequently and in many different and sometimes contradictory senses. For example, when our hearts are full, we say we are in love. And yet, in the game of tennis, love is zero, nothing. The senses of love are highlighted in the many words for love in Greek. Eros is romantic or passionate love. Mania is an obsessive love. Philotia is self-love. Phileo is deep friendship. And agape is love for everyone. But why does it matter that Greek has so many words for love? Well, the New Testament was written in Greek, and what we read today is a translation. The two words most often used in the Greek version of the New Testament are phileo and agape. The passages we hear today in English use agape in the Greek version, which also seems to align with the Latin word caritas. It was used in the later Latin version of the second reading and is sometimes translated into English as charity. But what sense are we to make of love in these readings? Sometimes it is a noun, a thing that exists. Love is from God. But other times it is a verb, an action, something that happens. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. And in every case, love is connected to God, to the point of fusion. God is love. This is an astonishing notion, very far removed from older traditional concepts of God, often personified as a stern man with a big beard looking down from heaven. It's easy to see why many people cannot get their heads around the stern man notion of God, controlling our lives, or alternatively, letting chaos unfold around us. The notion of God as love is difficult too, but it is infinitely more complex and goes to the heart of our being and our living. The existence of God cannot be proved or disproved by looking for a supreme being who looks like a stern man. But if God is love, God's being is intangible and manifests itself in the love that is and that happens within and all around us. It is hard to deny the existence of love. It exists and happens as surely as we live and breathe. But it is also not everywhere. Love is absent in many places and for many people, which is why Jesus came into our world, to save it with love. This is how I can best understand salvation. The world is fallen not because Adam tasted the forbidden fruit, but because humans as a whole have a taste for it. Sin is the absence of love, and only love can rescue us from our sin. So as the Beatles so catchingly sang, love is all you need. But what exactly is it? How can we recognize it, embrace it, and nurture it? Today's readings give us some insight into this. They tell us love is not confined to a single person. It is dynamic. It moves from one person to another, beginning with God. And in the second reading in the Gospel, John and Jesus tell us, love is from God. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Love one another. Love is not something you hang on to and keep for yourself. It is fundamentally about other people, showing them love, loving them. It is both a noun and a verb, something that is and something you do. Which brings up two other facets of Jesus' words about love in the gospel. The first is telling us we are his friends, not his servants, but his friends. The difference is in knowing that what God is doing. Servants simply follow orders. Friends know the reasons behind what they are being asked to do. The second is how Jesus frames what he says as a commandment that you love one another as I have loved you. This too is startling. How can love be commanded? We think of love as coming from the heart, from within. But this too illustrates the distinctive feature of the love Jesus is talking about. It comes from God. It's not a matter of will or desire. Love is a commandment, which is not exactly the same as a command to love. Commandment gives us a sense of what this love is, something we must do. Jesus' gift of love from the Father is something we simply must nurture and pass on to others. And that's why love can be very challenging. I'm sure we can all think of people who are hard to love, or times when it was hard to love them. These people are often close members of our own families. It is at times like these when we need to acknowledge that our love comes from God and that we are not alone in loving. Pope Francis's encyclical letter last year, Fratelli Tutti, in English on fraternity and social friendship, also has much to say about love. In the third chapter on envisaging and engendering an open world, Francis writes, "In the depths of every heart, love creates bonds and expands existence, for it draws people out of themselves towards others. Since we were made for love, in each one of us, a law of ecstasis seems to operate. The lover goes outside the self to find a fuller existence in another. For this reason, humans always have to take up the challenge of moving beyond themselves." This personal dimension that Francis talks about of love then becomes the basis for his expansion of love into something that reaches out to groups of people and to humankind as a whole. He goes on to characterize charity as social love. That makes it possible to advance towards a civilization of love to which all of us can feel called. Social love is a force capable of inspiring new ways of approaching the problems of today's world, of profoundly renewing structures, social organizations, and legal systems from within. Francis also advocates love as what is needed to restore our political institutions in a time of cynicism and populism. He writes, "When people join together in initiating social processes of fraternity and justice for all, they enter the field of charity at its most vast, namely political charity. This entails working for a social and political order whose soul is social charity, social love." This should also command our attention in a city that is profoundly political. The word political has acquired many pejorative connotations, but it is at the heart of democratic government. Pope Francis is showing us the way back to civility and social responsibility in government through love. Such is the power of love. It truly knows no bounds.